Hey, go ahead and swipe, get your friends in the room, whatever platform you're on. Come on, join us. Put your comments in the comment section, in the description boxes. Come on, get in. We're about to have this discussion. It's about to go down tonight. I hope y'all ready.
Hey man, I should have wore my MAGA hat.
We're about to put this conversation is about to go together. So go ahead and get your friends, invite your friends, share, comment. We're going to answer all your questions. We're about to get this in. That's Eugene's theme song.
Yep. And we out there at the polls messing with all the Democrats.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all guys for coming in. I'm Troy Jackson. I got Eugene Ralph and Dr. Jeffrey R. Mitchell. My man, we about to have this discussion about this whole. We're gonna break down Black Lives Matter for you, because y'all think that it means one thing, but we know what it really means because we are some educated black men.
Absolutely.
And we about to let y'all have it for real. So I don't know if you guys have ever read what they believe from their website initially, and what they were the propaganda machine that they were initially putting out, but that they got away from. But that is not what they are. They're about they scrubbed their website now.
I took screenshots.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So Eugene took screenshots because they scrubbed their website. Now they came out that. So the BLM organization was founded by 3 lesbian women. That tells you a lot right there. And one of the major things about their organization was the fact that they literally wanted to get rid of the nuclear family, which means they didn't want men in the house. They didn't want real men in the house. They wanted these effeminate men in the house, I guess. The effeminate men that they were raising from these single parent households. But that's not what God intended it to be. God, He brought man and woman together, and for them to reproduce after their own kind, just like He did for animals and for every other species. I mean, we're here to reproduce after our own kind. So we're gonna start with Dr. Mitchell. We're gonna let Dr. Mitchell start giving us his take on BLM. So and before we get to that, so I'm driving through South Dallas today. I'm putting out Trump signs in South Dallas because that's what I do. So I'm over in South Dallas and I'm putting out Trump signs along MLK, and I pull up and there's a frat house that says voting is power. Across the street from the frat house is a boarded up building. I drive down the road just a little bit further and I see Black Lives Matter on this old boarded up building that says Forest Theater, which is closed. So you got Black Lives, everything over there look like it's boarded up, abandoned, shut down, whatever. And in a predominantly black area, predominantly black neighborhood, and we are celebrating Black Lives Matter. So I'm not quite understanding what's going on in this black community where the Black Lives Matter. So Dr. Mitchell, go ahead and let us know let us know your take. And I know you from that area, so I'm sure you got a little insight on what's going on over there. Help me understand, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Eugene, it's good to see you again this week, brothers.
You too, brother.
But listen to us out there. I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm a proud James Madison 1983 graduate. Y'all know me out there. If you listen, y'all know me. I went to, was bused, to W.H. Gaston Middle School. And then I had to go to Madison. My little sister went to, I believe that was that little school over there on Brown, right off of Forest Hill and Forest Far, but I used to go to City Lights in my 20s, so I'm familiar with. I used to see Bruce Lee movies from Dallas, man. I used to run from downtown Dallas because you missed that 12 o'clock lineup, and I had to run all the way home from downtown Dallas to South Dallas because South Dallas is just in the middle of everything. I mean,
Right.
back in the day, on history. Long story short, y'all look at our communities. Look at it. I mean, if you just happy with that, I can't tell y'all. What are you listening for? You don't need me to tell y'all.
Nope.
We need to make some changes in our community. We have more power than you think we have.
Yep.
You can't go outside no more because of the coronavirus. They don't want you to go to work. You're mad at the police. We sit up here sitting at the house mad at each other. You can't do nothing over there in South Dallas. And we got this white man whose sex orientation way different than a whole lot of cats, and he trying to tell us what we can do. South Dallas, that's Dallas. We stronger than that, y'all. We have a strong history in South Dallas of doing some good things in that community. What's happening to us? And we can change a lot of this if we want to. One election at a time. J. Trump didn't start all of this stuff. He's the president of the United States. The issue is our city leaders. They're the problem. We need to change our city leaders. We can do that. Now, this is not the election. Well, some of the people on the ballot right now, and you should know, if you vote a straight Democrat, well, we don't have straight party ticketing, but if you're voting on a ticket where you got all these Democrats, look at them and tell me who came in your neighborhood. Look at them. But every 4 years, they say the same thing to y'all. Now, my mama told me, because I'm from South Dallas, born and raised, I'm from Dallas. My mama told me all the time, if I want to make a difference, you have to make a difference. You have to go to sleep. I used to wonder why Al Lipscomb and Dion Rasby and John Wilder Pryor, they were hooping out. That was in those days in the 70s. I don't do that anymore, students. Listen to all this out there. I think I'm talking to students. I write. My power is in the pen. And I'm not talking about penitentiary. I'm talking about writing my recognition. No, I'm not picking on nobody. I'm just, if you've been, I'm not trying to pick on nobody. My kids, I got kids at school age too, y'all. I got a young kid. I got an older son. He's 20 in his late 20s. And then I got a daughter. She's 20. And she's like, Dad, I want to get out here on this black line now for you. No, sister, you can't help me. I'm just real with her. She's in the university. The only way you can help a black man graduate from college, be something, pay your bills, make sure that you are able to do good things. You can't build nothing, turn nothing down. I ain't never felt sorry for no black man. Never, y'all. So why would you think anybody care about us, our black lives? Think about it. So I'm gonna leave that there right there. And I got a couple of things that we talk about. It's called the Sal Alinsky 13 Rules for Radicals.
Right.
Okay, and he's an organizer. He studied at both University of Chicago. University of Chicago has a strong history with Al Capone. Y'all know Al Capone, gangster. Some of y'all that's, I'm in my late 50s. I'm in my mid to late 50s. But some of y'all, like in y'all 40, y'all want to come up on gangster. So y'all know gangster. Okay, let's just say some of y'all know gangster. Well, there's a trait that goes along with that Al Capone had in terms of how he does things, and it's a progressive and socialist model. That's what he used as an organizer. And he writes, and Saul Alinsky, Alinsky, Saul, not Paul, but Saul Lewinsky.
Come on, preacher.
Because if you read by Saul, he doesn't do anything until he becomes Paul. Because when he was Saul, different situation. But named Saul Lewinsky, not that same Saul. So he writes this book called Rules for Radicals. It's a pragmatic premiere for realistic radical. It's published in 1971. Now, I don't want to go through the whole thing. I'm going to give you just 3 things in there, what we call the Alinsky model. Former President Obama came up with this idea based on that when they went to Harvard. You ain't got to go to Harvard. You ain't got to drop no money on that. You could have just Googled it. If we could teach, we don't send our kids to break nothing down. We go to college and university, build a community, build a family, build something. You can't get nothing breaking nothing down. But here's rule number one. I'm just going to real quickly. Power is not the only thing you have, but your enemies must think that you have it. In reality, y'all, it ain't a whole lot of people thinking with NBC, ABC, CBS. In reality, it ain't a whole lot of people thinking like them. They have to have the illusion. A lot of people think like that, okay? I'm just telling you. They got money. They got influence. In reality, it's a small bubble, okay? It's really just Wall Street, tech industry in Silicon Valley, some DC folks, and Hollywood. Really, those are the four groups in America that's really tripping on Trump. Okay, I'm just telling you, so they really don't have the power. It's an illusion. That's why they setting up Joe Biden. Another rule is called ridicule man's is the most potent weapon. If you keep breaking Trump down and keep breaking a black man down or keep breaking any one of us down because you don't believe in that model, eventually people going to believe that because it got to be true. In reality, they're going to keep ridiculing you. And some of you who've been, had some challenge in your life, they're going to keep doing that because of your past. One more I'll give you, and I'll give you one more, then I'll turn it over because I know Eugene may have something and Dr. Jackson may have something. One of them is called keep the pressure on, never let up. Okay? Trying to do those particular things because it keeps your opposition off balance. So if when you're in school, what we learned, you on a debate team. In the old days, when I was a debate captain, and we would have a debate about, let's say, Democrat, Republican ideas or what's best for the country, something like that. People used to bring like a whole lot of dictionaries and encyclopedias because what we tried to do was to make people think we read all these books all night long. And in reality, no, we just wanted to intimidate them.
Right.
So those are there's many of them. I encourage you, I'm a political consultant. When I'm not doing that, I'm a historian. I do a lot of different, I'm a political scientist. I'm a businessman, entrepreneur. And so my job is to get conservative values out there because we have values. And so I'm going to just lead y'all on that one and I'll turn some of this stuff on over to, because I know I was tripping last week, but I told Dr. Jones to be a little bit more scholarly and not stop being so candid with y'all and just act like I actually, for real, do have a PhD. And I'm actually a college educated man.
That's good. That's good. No, all of that was very good. I know they love it. And go ahead, Eugene. I'm going to give it to Eugene. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. I'd just like to say in regard to, the whole Black Lives Matter thing, when I first heard it, I always consider the source whenever I hear anything. If I hear it coming from the left, I realize that a broken clock is right twice a day. But often, that's just the truth. Everything comes from the left is not going to be totally something you need to just automatically toss it out. But more than likely, the perspective is going to be off. So, I give them credit that every now and then people from the left get something right. The problem with even the things they get right is the fact that their solutions are not something that's workable. So that's what I help a lot of people understand is that we may agree on what the problem is. Where we disagree is how to solve it. So a lot of times we have to talk to people and help them understand what we're dealing with here is ideas that need to be considered from a logical standpoint, but also from a practical standpoint is how it's going to work out. And, I honestly did not have to read Rules for Radicals to understand exactly what they were doing and the fact that it was going to work if it's applied consistently and properly. The problem is on our side, we have people who they seem to want microwave solutions. They want to, just fix it and let's go and go on about our lives. And I'm like, we are past that. There was a time where we could have been that way, but not anymore. We have people who have decided that they're going to make it their life's business to actually change the way this nation is and the way this nation is supposed to be. And they're not going to give an inch as far as trying to accomplish it. And I'll give you a prime example. When 9/11 happened 19 years ago, I was in the fight back then. And, one of the things I was telling people, I say, on 9/12, the Congress people stood on the Capitol steps and sang the song, God Bless America, with their hands on their heart. I say in 9/13, our side should have been working to defeat everything that they were trying to put forward, because what they did, they went silent for a little while because they knew the majority of the people were with us in our perspective. So they went silent, they went dormant. But the first opportunity they had to come back, they came back, and they came back with a vengeance. Unfortunately, it didn't work for a while. So they kept coming up with new ideas and new ways. And when George Soros got involved with them in, I think it was 2004, somewhere around that time, 2005, after that election, they put together a plan, and you saw what happened in 2006. My whole point is that this whole rules for radicals thing is something I've learned over probably the last 9 or 10 years. But the practices, the things that they've been doing it for years. And basically, as I consider myself an observer of politics, an observer of things that actually can watch it for a little while, determine what's happening, and tell people, okay, this is how you need to proceed based on what I see happening here. The sad reality is we have too many people on our side that take this lackadaisical attitude, and that's why they're always playing defense. I'm an offensive person from a standpoint of winning the game. I want to play offense, because if I play offense, you don't have time to recoup from what the last thing I did to you. And the deal is, the reason why we're in the shape we're in now is because we've got a bunch of lazy little chumps on our side, in my opinion. I'm gonna be nice here. Lazy little chumps, little sissies, that don't want to fight. I'm not like, either get ready to fight or get the hell out of the way and let somebody get in there that's going to do it. Because we need some fighters over here. We need some warriors. And that's just the way it is. And this Black Lives Matter stuff, look, I don't get into the discussion too much, because to me, it's one of the biggest crocs I've heard in a long time. I can destroy that in a matter of about 10 seconds. Somebody coming and talking Black Lives Matter foolishness to me, because most of the time I've already summarized them as far as where they're coming from before we have this conversation. So I can tell them one or two things and knock that whole foolishness out the park, and that's if I even decide whether or not he's even worthy of the conversation. So, the whole Black Lives Matter thing to me is really frustrating, because you have basically two kinds of people in this situation. You have the people who are pushing it, who know exactly what they're doing, and you got the people who are basically sort of the victims, who are buying into it because they have experienced things in their lives, and they have been, I would say, limited with their experience of dealing with people from other cultures. And so they don't have any type of anything to bounce these ideas off of. But the fact that we have electronic technology being what it is today, there is no excuse for everybody who's walking around with a smartphone in their pocket to not know these things. And so basically, I once again put it back on them for them to actually take the responsibility to do what they need to do, to learn the things they need to learn in order for them to be able to process this information. There is no excuse. I was raised just like you, brother Mitchell. I was raised in the Black community, not here in Dallas, but in New Orleans, where I heard a lot of the same foolishness. We had the thing about vote for the black man. He's going to help us out. And I remember listen to all that crap. It sounded good, and we believed, and we had good reason to believe it, right? Because we knew what we had with the people who were in power at the time. And initially, some positive things happened. But as time went on, what we saw is the black people who got in power, they helped themselves, they helped their friends, they helped their families, and that was a wrap. Everybody else, you was on your own, and we started seeing it. And then what drives me nuts is when you have the scandals come out, and all these black people jump and say, oh, well, the white man was doing it. So I'm telling you, so you telling me if somebody's screwing you, you'd rather be screwed by the black man than a white man? Seems to me you ought to be a little bit more incensed. That's the ones you really trusted.
Right.
You're a damn fool. You wake up and smell like coffee, man.
That's good. So now, on my adventure through South Dallas today, and it was quite an event. It truly
Man,
was.
bro, I'm gonna set aside a day one day next week, and I'm just gonna hang out with you. 'Cause I'm tired of you telling me about this. I want to have some fun.
Yes, I really did. I had fun in South Dallas. I had fun over at the El Centro in Mesquite. I had fun at the what was it? There was another library over at Balk Springs. I was at Pleasant Grove today. I was interacting with people over in Pleasant Grove at El Centro and at the Skyline Memorial Branch Library or whatever, and they were just shocked to see this black guy pulling up with a car with "Make America Great" flags and Trump 2020 flags flying off of the car.
Have you seen this car, man? Have you seen his brother's car, Brother Mitchell?
I've seen his whole outfit. He is people out there. Troy is truly a blessing in my community. You know, I'm on the other side of the Trinity River, and so for Troy to go in territories like that, and be very proud to opine the conservative views, and he ain't just he is just as remarkable. It's tough enough, and you know, and they ain't that crazy about me being over there, and but you know, I've seen it. I've seen it enough of it. I like, okay, man. I knew when I get on out there, you know, every once in a while when I'm just feeling like I just want to get funky about something, I get on out there. You know, I come out there, I go to Rudy's. I'm sometimes there if you want to see me. I sometimes make it there about 11:15 on Saturday, and I'm standing in line. And somebody could have asked me for something. I'm looking like, no, you don't know. And I got my God Bless America shirt on. I got my Frederick Douglass Republican of Tarrant County shirt on. I'm roll. I roll Republican. I've been like that a long time.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That's what we do. It's been engaging. It has been quite an experience because I have blacks, I have Latinos come up to me and say, "Really? Why?" And I love that because that gives me the opportunity to dialogue with them on why I am conservative, why I am supporting Donald Trump, why I am in the black community talking to them about things that they don't hear about that are positive aspects of the Republican Party and of conservative values because they don't hear about them because they have liberal leadership. And so the liberal leadership, they're not going to share with you all the great things that conservatives are doing. I had a brother today, I was putting out some signs at one of the locations, and the brother sitting on the bus stop walked across the street. He was sitting on the bus stop videoing me. He got up out of the bus stop seat, walked across the street, and missed his bus to have a conversation with me.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it.
And after I finished talking to him, he said, "You know, I'm glad I haven't voted yet because you helped me to see some things that I haven't seen and didn't know."
That's the part I love, man.
And the great thing about it, he took me through. He said he was telling me about how he worked for a company that had a contract with General Motors, and when Barack Obama became president, they cut subsidies to General Motors.
Yep.
And his company ended up losing the contract because the contract went overseas.
Right.
And so he ended up losing his job, losing his house, losing his wife, losing his children.
Wow.
Because he couldn't make ends meet. He went from making $20, $25 an hour to making $15 an hour.
Yeah. That's quite a hit, man.
Lost his vehicle, and so he said that's why he was on the bus now.
Wow.
But he's trying, and he's like, you know, now I'm at a place under President Trump. I am starting to get people calling me back about jobs. And he said even after the virus, the Chinese virus, he said I am literally starting to get jobs to call me to come in for interviews.
Right. That's right.
And so when I explained to the brother, I said, that's why you need to make sure that you vote for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is bringing jobs back to America. that job that you had that went overseas under Barack Obama, that job will be coming back to America. They will be rehiring, whether it's you or somebody else. They're going to be hiring. And I told him, I said, don't lose faith, don't lose hope, don't lose sight of your goals, because everything that you lost, God is going to restore it to you. You just have to be faithful and educate yourself on what's going on and not make decisions based off of your emotions.
Right.
I told him it's easy to jump on the BLM train. Woe is me. You know, everybody's oppressing me. And I had to explain to him. I said, name one white person you know that has ever held you back. One white person that has got in front of you and stopped you from moving forward.
Right.
And he said, I've never had one. He said, I can name some black people, though. I said, exactly.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. I said, so make sure when you go to the poll that you vote for Donald Trump. He said, brother, I am. I said, well, you know, the polling place right there behind me is open, and right now it's early voting, and you can vote anywhere. He said, oh, I can? I didn't know that. I said, yeah, and you can vote straight Republican. And I told him, I said, if you go in there and vote right now, I said, I will go in with you to make sure that they allow you to vote, because I want to make sure that they're doing stuff the right way, not trying to say it's a Democrat precinct. And I said, and in addition to that, because you missed your bus to sit here and talk to me, I will take you to your destination.
Wow.
That brother went in there and voted, came out and said, brother, I voted all Republican all the way down. He said it was like 14 pages of people, but he said, I went through and I made sure that I selected every Republican on the ticket. He said, I've never voted for a Republican before in my life.
Wow.
But I did today. And I gave that brother a ride to his destination, gave him my contact information, and said, let's connect, because I want to educate you on the issues so that you don't just be a voter voting based on party, but you can vote and understand what the issues are that directly affect your life and know how to communicate with those legislators that are in office to make your voice be heard, whether they're Democrat or Republican, the entire time. He was honored to have somebody to spend that kind of time with him to help educate him. And I didn't even spend that much time with him, maybe 15, 20 minutes of my day invested in that brother.
Right.
But he went in and voted Republican all the way down the ballot.
That's right.
Because of that dialogue. It's that in all thy getting, get an understanding.
That's right.
And so we as conservative Republicans have to go into these neighborhoods. We have to go into these communities. We have to start having conversations that have not been being had. We have to start talking about the issue. I heard a candidate, I'm not going to say his name, but I know if he's watching right now, he know I'm talking about him. And I hope he know it. But he literally told me last week, this candidate told me last week that abortion was not the number one thing on the list for the black community.
Man,
I told him, I said, you know why it may not be for the majority of the black community? Because they don't know how it directly affects them. And I said, just like the Bible says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. They don't know, therefore they vote the way of the way that they do not know. And so they have no clue that it is directly affecting them. They don't know the effects that abortion has on a family, on the father, on the children, on themselves, on their physical body, on their mental health. There's many ways that these abortions hurt and harm them that they are clueless about. And we have to make sure that they get a clear understanding of it and tell the liberals to stop with the lies talking about is about women's health. It don't have anything to do with women's health. You want to kill the lives of our babies.
Yes. Y'all out there. I know the thing that, and Dr. Jackson makes a very, very good point. You need to know what's going on in your children's school, y'all. This is usually how they do it. They ain't come to y'all straight like that. They started from K. And so by the time they get to higher education, of course, free ain't really free. But the reason why they want to give you free college and free healthcare because it doesn't have any value. And so that's why they pushing that free stuff, y'all.
Yeah.
Right? It ain't gonna work. It's not sustainable in our society. And there's a reason why we want to go to work. We want to know what who's teaching our children, even if you don't know how to do their homework. Okay, but at least ask them what's going on in school and what is their teacher talking about. If the doggone kid, I mean, it didn't take them long, 19 years for us to hate the police. Now, when I come up, you ain't had to take long for me to hate the police. I come up against the police. But now, I'm rolling with the law. I'm just telling y'all. I'm telling you out there. It took them 19 years. Everything they touch, if they preach, they're gonna turn it back. They're gonna make it bad. Education bad. Football bad. Relationship bad. Everything they touch, progressivism, make it bad. Ain't good no more. Just rotten. They rotten people. Something wrong with them, y'all. We good people. We come from a good lineage. Listen to what Dr. Jackson, what Eugene's telling y'all. We blessed. If you ain't never been to Africa, I've been to Africa. You don't know what you're talking about. Where we gonna go? Where you want? Okay, let's go. Let's play this game. Where you think we gonna live? Where you want to go? Where you want to go to Uganda? Because they ain't gonna know who you are if you don't speak Swahili. Where you want to go? You want to go DRC? It used to be Zaire. So what you can't speak French because then it was better to protect you. We want to go to Nigeria. We want to go be evil. How's the Fulani? Oh, I know. Let's go to Liberia since it was the only protectorate, Monrovia, in 1823. And that's ratchet over there. Where you want to go?
There.
Tell me, y'all. Anyway, you want to go back to Africa? Because this is our home. We finna fight for our home. This is it. Your kids ain't going. We ain't gonna give it back to no Native Americans.
Nope.
They be mad about Indigenous Day. They don't teach Native American history right because they were on the wrong side of history at least 3 times. On the wrong side of the American Revolution, wrong side of the War of 1812, wrong side of the Civil War. They just happen to be on the wrong side of the people who were really, really, really developing this country. So they gonna be spoiled. It be all mad. But we don't teach them that. They're not bad people. They answer just was on the wrong side. And if you've ever been on the wrong side of people that didn't think you're going to make it, then you know. Sometimes people don't think we're going to make it. We make it. Right. Plantation presidency.
Right.
History. That's something. We can do this. Let's change history.
That's right. History is important. It's very important. You know, when I was 5th and 6th grade, I had the same teacher for 2 years. And she was, I guess, a bit of a history buff. And when we got to that subject, elementary school, a lot of times you're in the same class all day with the same teacher, just going through the different subjects. And she would spend so much time talking about World War II and some of the things, not just the war history, but also the history of, how we got to where we are as a nation. Being from New Orleans, she told us about history about New Orleans, about, we had a witch in New Orleans, Marie Laveau, all that stuff. What I'm saying is that it piqued my interest and caused me to be a little bit of a history buff myself. So, I went through some years where it wasn't that important to me, but when I got serious about life again, when I started approaching 30 years old, I started paying attention to stuff and I started remembering a lot of things she taught. So that's why I always stress with parents, to teach your children whatever you know. If you don't know a lot, teach them what you know. Because the thing is, there's so many aspects to history that it's not in the books. It's not enough books to write it, and we have to pass down these traditions. I'm blessed, man. Look, my children, when they were younger, we primarily lived in middle class areas where it was, mixed race. So they didn't experience any of the things that I even came close to, right? And I didn't experience a whole bunch of racism myself, not firsthand, but they didn't experience any of that. I mean, their friends were black, white. We moved here. They were black, white, and just a little bit of everything, really. And so I had to actually teach them about the black culture, right? The things about black, like when they hear certain songs on the radio, on certain radio stations, why were those songs written around that time? You know, when they hear songs, you know, by certain songs like by the OJs or by Marvin Gaye, you know, because sometimes we would come home from church and I have it on back when 94.5 actually played R&B. I'd have it on, you know, listening to the R&B stuff, and I would explain to them who these people were, because believe it or not, they don't make music like that anymore. Not in the black music, right? It's you know, it's unfortunate. And so if you watch shows like Unsung, you know, on VH1 or whatever, and you see the black artists that were, you know, very popular in the 70s, the 80s, and early 90s, and how they eventually faded out, you almost hear one consistent thing is that the record companies got to a point where they didn't want to produce that music anymore. And I'm like, why is that? That's the only music that they decided that they no longer want to produce was R&B, right? So, you know, eventually black people started their own companies, eventually started producing it again. But my whole point to this is how important history is, that we pass these things on, whether it be traditions, especially good traditions, and whether we teach kids about things that they would not otherwise know, and help them understand things in context, because taken out of context, it can mean literally anything. So that's part of the reason why we struggle so much today, is we have these broken families. And one of the things that I give Candace Owens the credit for bringing this up a lot lately. I've seen her talk about the fatherlessness in the home, whether in the black community is mostly because of out of wedlock births, but some of it's because of divorce, and because of the fatherlessness, where the dads sometimes it's not always the men's fault. I mean, sometimes it's the guys, you know, because of the negative relationship with the women, the men couldn't play the role in the lives of their children that they wanted to. But the point is, regardless of what it is, it has a negative effect overall. And much of what we see happening today in the black community, I say that it is a spiritual issue. You know, people have to recognize this, that when we are allowed, when we consider our history in this country and how the Lord has brought us forward, you know, after so many hundreds of years of slavery, and then, you know, we get free, and then we get fully restored our rights in the 60s, and then what typically happened after that? What happened after we got our rights, after we fought all those battles, after we depended on God all those times? Then we moved to a point where, oh, you know, I don't really need the Lord now. You know, I got the government to take care of the problem. And so when we turn our back on God as a people, we pay a price. And we are paying this price, and this price is heavy, man. You know, and I'll say that, you know, these are spiritual issues. You know, when you're going to say that we're going to allow the government come in, run the man out the house, whether it be the husband or, you know, living boyfriend, which that shouldn't be either. But the thing is, at least if he's there, he should be playing a positive role model. Run the man out, come in here, you know, promote all of this, you know, constantly just, you know, promiscuity and all this kind of stuff, and just fully engage yourself in that. Why is it that our community is the worst? Well, our people, our leaders, our so-called leaders, who had opportunity at that time, took advantage of it for themselves and say, basically, y'all on your own. I watched the sellout take place. I watched when the pastors started to compromise. You know, when I was in my mid to in late 20s, and I started watching these guys who early on took a stand against, you know, women just going out here getting pregnant and all this kind of foolishness, and slowly started saying, oh, you know, we gotta coddle this situation. I'm like, no, man, you don't do that. You know, the girl gets pregnant, that's one thing, but to coddle it and say that we're gonna say that this is okay, that we're gonna say that we're gonna celebrate this like this is a great thing. No, we don't. Anything that you celebrate, you're gonna encourage more of it, and that's the reason why we have so much of it, because we have so many people who have not been called out, and then we get to the point where we got the homosexual issue, and then they go into the point where, you know, you won't stand for nothing. So I'm saying is that when you got these constant problems, these cultural issues, they call them cultural issues. Actually, these are sin issues that we say we're going to continue to allow to be pervasive in our culture, in our communities. Man, you're going to get the result of it. The Bible says you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. So we're getting that. And so what I'm saying is that when we're in a position to speak to these things, we have to be honest with people and help them understand. Look, you have the right. Yeah, America, you got a lot of freedom. You can do what you want to do, but you also have to deal with the consequences of those actions eventually. So, my suggestion is that, you take heed to when somebody's giving you good advice and actually do what you realize now is the correct thing, to make necessary corrections of what you're doing, that you don't find yourself in a worse place in which you are. We have a forgiving God, and we're blessed because of that. First of all, one of the things is, in order to be forgiven, you first have to be His child, right? So the thing is we have to kind of help people understand the need to take advantage of that opportunity to get saved, and then act like you're His child. Because if you're disobedient, He's gonna chastise you. That's for sure. So it's a lot of things getting into this, but one of the things you point out, this whole Black Lives Matter thing, man, Black Lives Matter flies directly in the face of Scripture in every possible way. First of all, you got lesbianism, homosexuality being promoted aggressively, which that comes against not just the nuclear family, that comes against the family, period. Okay, that's against everything that God has said is right. Then you got them trying to tear down capitalism. Capitalism is not, it's not perfect because it's developed by man, but it's probably the closest thing you're going to get to that. Free enterprise capitalism is going to be closest thing you're going to get to perfect as far as the governmental system, as far as working on behalf of the individual, right? We come together as individuals. We come together corporately to accomplish certain things. But, one of the things I'm always inspired when I hear people talking about, especially trying to get this message into the Black community about starting their own business and the processes and methods they put into place to help people start their own businesses. Because that will lead you to true financial independence, because the thing is, having a job, if that's what you want to do, that's great. But, have a business on the side. Don't just have a job, have a side business. Because if we think about it, those who came before us, my dad, my uncles, my mom, and my aunts, my wife's relative, her uncles and aunts and dad and everybody else, if they didn't work two jobs, either they worked two jobs or they had a job and a business on the side. It was called a hustle, right? And hey man, it is what it is. But it's the hustle that keeps things going. It makes things work. And sometimes, eventually, that hustle, we're talking about legal hustles. Eventually, that hustle gets to the point where you gotta always qualify that these days, man. But eventually, that hustle gets to the point where I don't need the job anymore. One of those hustles, either both of those hustles are rocking, and I can walk away from that job, or one of them gets to the point where I don't need the job and do these two hustles. The deal is, man, it just puts you in a much better place. And one of the things that really got me when I first moved here to Dallas, I had to get a windshield replaced on my car, and this guy, it was a Hispanic guy, came to replace it. And we were just talking while he was doing it, and I asked him something, regarding his business, and he said, Dallas is one of the greatest places to be. He said, man, I got more business than I can handle. And that told me something right there, because coming from New Orleans, not to say that, that type of business isn't prominent in New Orleans, because trust me, if you got a windshield, they got constantly getting replaced down there too. But he was saying, because there's so many people in the city, and the city is so large, because regardless of how much competition he's got, he still has more business than he can handle. And that's a good problem to have. So, people want to start a business. I say, find something where there's always going to be more business out there than you can provide service for. And you should never go hungry.
That's good. Now I got trying to get this thing. It's not letting me share this. Technology does what it wants to do when it wants to do it. Can you guys see what I just tried to put on the screen?
No, I didn't see
I don't
anything.
see it.
Nothing.
No,
Okay.
I don't see it.
Where there's a wheel, there's a road. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it this way. Where my camera? Can y'all see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep.
So you know what that is?
No, it looks like I can't really tell.
That look like a penitentiary. What is that?
So while I was in South Dallas today,
What is that?
I had a guy ask me where the closest hotel was. That's the closest hotel in South Dallas.
Okay.
Is that right there on? That looks like that's right there on Irving.
That's on MLK. Yeah, it is. I think it's a block or so from Irving.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that was a hotel.
I think near Colonial. I think my sister went to Colonial, but man,
I thought that was a condemned building.
What?
y'all, we don't have to live like that, y'all. We live in one of the greatest countries in the world. We have one of
And
the greatest constitutions.
it's called the Windway Hotel.
The what?
Windway Hotel.
Windway.
Oh yeah, you're gonna win away, all right. Win away to hell. Let me tell y'all something. I'm not big as a holy roller as a lot of people. I believe that I think Eugene made an excellent point with y'all. I've come up on every man got their own thing, and I think it'd be wise about what I just like. I think that I think if you have a religion, you should practice that religion, but it should be a religion of peace. And if you just conflictual and you got identity problems, I just happen to come up Catholic and Baptist, and so I'm just real cool with a lot of people. Some people they got a lot of conflict in their life, and God invite you to get you a relationship with Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm just telling you, if you can't do the try, just take a step. I know things going on Ricky Rush. I attend the Potter's house. Now, Bishop Jakes is an interesting one, y'all out there. And I'm not going to get too much. I come up Catholic and I gave my life to the Potter's house on, joined the Potter's house November 22nd of 2010. And it's okay. Jakes is all right. Bishop Jakes is all right. Yeah, I'll just tell you. But if you're with some of these pastors and they not doing right, don't blame that on God.
No.
They mean.
Yeah.
They wrong. In the old days, I used to criticize them. Now I know we talking about Black Lives Matter. If you driving down 20 and you got a pastor got a banner of Black Lives Matter, and he talking about more Black Lives Matter, and he talking about the life that Jesus Christ brought to save us all. Now I'm not talking about those that I've been, lost. Now I'm fine. I've been blind, but now I'm saved. But we've all been there. That's Amazing Grace. It's an old school song. I'm just telling you. But I'm at peace, y'all. These people got you mad at white people, got you mad at men, got you mad at Trump, got you mad at your country, got you mad at that. Tell you right there. There's no tranquility.
Nope.
The preamble. And I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna do this just on the house for you, just because we the people. It actually didn't start like that. It actually, we the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia, we the People's Republic of Massachusetts, we the people of Vermont, we the people of Rhode Island. That's how it read. In order to perform, in order of things. They try to put us in order to provide for the common defense, to promote the general welfare at hand, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity. Do ordain means good times and bad times.
That's right.
The Constitution of the United States of America. That's the preamble. And that sets everything in motion, y'all. This is an American thing. This is a family thing. Join us on this movement, y'all, for the great cause. Don't miss it now.
That's right.
These brothers are telling you right. Now me, I come up on revolution. Let's just go to the revolution. Strong survive. We will see. Battle against good versus evil. This is that. Yin versus yang. I just want to go all the way to revolution. But I just got good brothers out here. I'm ready. I come up. I'm from South Dallas. I'm like rest of y'all. Man, ain't nobody got time for all that. What you rolling crip of blood? I'm rolling trying to live. I'm just telling you, I ain't always had a degree. Peace. I'm just
man.
trying to bring some tranquility in your life. I'm trying to help you. Don't you want peace in your life?
That's right.
That's it. And that's what I got so much. I sensed so much hostility while I was in South Dallas. I mean, I'm looking at the frat house that has voting as power, and then abandoned buildings across the street. So obviously, your voting don't have much power if you're voting to have abandoned buildings across the street.
That's right.
That's all boarded up. And one of the guys I talked to said, "Yeah, that used to be our community center." I said, "Well, isn't Eddie Bernice Johnson your 28-year U.S. congressional representative for this area? So why is there a boarded up building across the street in her district that used to be your community center? Where is your community center at now?" And you know what they said? Well, we don't have one. We use the MLK facility down the street. And you're okay with that. And your movie theater that you had is the one that's on the other end of the street that's boarded up with a Black Lives Matter banner across the front.
There should be a Booker T. Washington hospital. That's the Forest Avenue Hospital, y'all. That's the hospital that black people used to go to, all right? Dr. Watts would come in there, and occasionally I had got the mumps one time. So there's a that there on MLK for some of y'all that know, before they made, they trained with it, Forest Avenue. And it has a it used to be a very good hospital for black people to go to at that particular time. But you see the mural that was painted by Walter Winn, Whininn, y'all. South Dallas got a lot of rich history, y'all. A lot of rich history.
I can tell that. You know, when I drive through there, I can tell that. And it's actually saddening to see how it's been so dilapidated. It's been allowed, and it's not just the dilapidation, but it's also that the vibe you get in there is that it's not a safe place to be. You know, you don't get I mean, I know white folks scared the hell to go through there. I'm in this as a black man. You know, it's not a place I want to be at night. You know, right. Unless I'm traveling in my car.
I want to be doing today.
We trying to figure you out for. Why you got to in front of MLK, 5 Avenue.
It's like if I'm going through there at night, man, I'm trying to get the hell on out of there quickly. Right. But I'm just saying it's really sad because it's a central part of the city, and you can see there's a lot of rich history there. And even though I'm not from Dallas, and there's a lot of names, I see names on streets, I see buildings named after certain people that played historical significance in the city. I don't always know what that context is, but I can see that it's some rich history there. And it would be nice if it was to a point where you could feel like, okay, this is a safe place to be any time of the day and night. You know, at least a reasonable amount of safety, right? And that's the sad part, man. And I think that, and that's not just here, that's everywhere. You know what I mean? And really, we got to change that, you know? I mean, it's up to us, you know? It's up to us to change that. We only people can do it.
That's it. And I think I made a few of them nervous while I was over there today. I mean, I had one came up to me. He had a little change cup, and he said, "Sir, I was going to ask you for some change, but never mind." I said, "Why you say never mind?" He said, "I see that gun on your hip."
He thought you were going to shoot him because you asked him something.
I tell you.
I ain't got no reason to shoot you.
Y'all stop hating on Troy. Y'all let Troy try to liberate y'all. He is the Sojourner Truth. He is the Frederick Douglass. He is the Harry Tubman of his time.
I turned it back on him. I said, "Brother, I wasn't going to shoot you." I said, "I understand that y'all believe that Black Lives Matter." He said, "What you mean y'all believe?" I said, "Well, y'all do believe that." I said, "Even though y'all kill each other out here all day long, y'all believe that Black Lives Matter. But y'all believe that Black Lives Matter when it benefits you, not when you killing your brother across the street." He was like, "Oh, yeah, I see where you're coming from." He said, "Well, not all Black Lives Matter."
Really?
When you look at
wow.
I said, "Well, let's talk about that." He said, "Oh, no, I don't want to talk about it." I said, "Well, you just said it, so I just want to clarify. for my own personal value, I want to know why you saying that not all Black lives matter now. I said because the narrative that's being put out there is Black lives matter, and then other people saying all lives matter, and then if you say all lives matter, you're racist and all this. I said, so help me understand, brother. He said, oh no, I don't want to talk about it.
Man, I tell you what, that's a Kodak moment right there. That's one of the ones you wish you would have had that camera roll.
Exactly. I gotta get me a body cam that I can wear when I'm not on duty, so I can record all this stuff.
Hey, bro, they got the kind that you can. It's like a pin. You just wear it if you got a lapel pocket. You can put it on, you can put it on your pin. But you can always get you some spy glasses too.
Yeah. I need that when I'm out here talking to these liberals and all these crazy people.
It leads to some great video.
Oh yeah, and I'll get some good footage while I'm out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I believe that.
We're not talking about y'all. We're not talking about y'all out there because we're picking on you. We care about y'all. We care about you. Now you're acting crazy. We finna liberate you. I want you to look. I want y'all to look at me. We're gonna liberate you. We're gonna liberate you. There are a lot of. I'm not saying that you slaves. I'm just saying you in a mentality. It's an enslaved mentality.
Yes.
We can liberate you one way or another. Because if one of us is enslaved, all of us. We do it because we love it. It's the mental sickness, y'all. And we don't do this because we hate you. But we're going to keep one in the chamber just in case now. We're going to carry a saber and a rifle. Just like Eric Douglas. Some of y'all tell, I know. I'm looking at you. I'm just letting you know, but we love you.
Oh,
exactly.
Man. Yeah. Seriously.
On that bill, we do everything but hang people for jaywalking in this bill.
Joe Biden's policies destroyed millions of Black lives. Joe Biden may not remember, but we do.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
So I had to play that real quick because, a lot of the people that's watching us, they on the Black Lives Matter bandwagon. They on the Joe Biden train. They on the Joe Biden plantation. So we're trying to get you off of the Joe Biden plantation. We're trying to help you break the mental chains of progressivism because that's what's wrong with you. You need to be delivered. You need to be baptized in some water and probably left there a few days before we pull you up so that you can be set free from, what did he say? We're going to put y'all back in chains. What he was telling you is that the Democrat Party was going to put y'all back in chains because they're the ones that originally had you in chains.
That's right.
And so you need to know your truth so you can stay free. Like my brothers were just saying earlier about knowing your history. Know your history.
That's right.
And don't vote your feelings and don't vote your family. Because your family will lead you astray every time.
And that's unfortunate because those are the people that you typically trust.
Right.
But the thing is, you got to study it for yourself, man. You got to take some time and learn some things for yourself. Every time I've had a conversation with a person that told me that at one time, it don't matter whether it's politics or religion or whatever, they told me that they were on a path, then that path was taking them in the wrong direction. But when they started to read, everything changed. Their perspective changed, the way their viewpoint changed, their attitude changed, their life changed. When I meet people who at one time were not Christians and became a Christian because they started reading the Bible, whether it was out of curiosity, and some people because it was a dare, because it was trying to prove to somebody that they were right in whatever they were saying, their life changed. I had a guy the other day I met, he told me he was raised a Democrat and he became a Republican because he started considering what he was being told. But when he got out of college and started working, a lot of that stuff wasn't making any sense. So here's the key phrase he uttered. Man, I started doing some research. He said, man, I started doing some research and none of that stuff they told me made no sense. I say, welcome to freedom, my brother.
Right.
Look, he had no idea I was a Republican. I struck up the conversation with him, and when I told him that, man, and that brother, I told that brother I was a Republican, man, his face just lit up. He felt like finally somebody I can talk to. But I mean, that's the way it is. And the point I'm making here is that we have to do the research for ourselves. We have to actually stop listening to everything people say. If it don't sound right, chances are it isn't. If it don't sound right, you need to check it out. Make sure. Look, 2 Timothy 2:15 says, "Study to show yourself approved, a workman need not be ashamed to rightly divide the word of truth." Okay, now keep this in mind. When Paul wrote that, Paul was a carpenter, and when Paul was talking about rightly dividing the word, think about if you're at one point of, say, a cutting board, and the cutting board is, say, 3 feet, and you are slightly off in your cut when you start, you're going to be dramatically off by the time you finish. In order to rightly divide, you got to stay on the straight and narrow path. You got to make sure it's exact the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And part of the reason why Paul talked about that was because in other parts of Scripture, it talks about how we, as those of us who study the Word, are able to evaluate. Yes, it means to judge. Those who are in leadership, who are telling us what the Word says. We're supposed to be able to evaluate, because it's not that they intentionally tell you something wrong. Sometimes they have every intention of telling you what's right, but sometimes they just might be in error. And if the ones who are honestly in error, if you go to them and talk to them and show them what you're talking about, they'll make the correction. The ones who are deliberately in error, or they full of pride, they're going to tell you something foolish and don't want to hear what you have to say. That's when you know you need to probably change churches. Look, let me tell you, I don't have any love for these guys when it comes to that kind of foolishness, because I've had my share. So my whole point is this: is knowing the truth, and there's only one absolute truth. Okay, I qualify that. There's one absolute truth that comes from the Word of God. All the other truths are derivatives of that. And if it's true, the ultimate source of that truth is going to come from the Word. So I suggest that even if you consider yourself to be an atheist, if you study the Constitution and understand what it means, you will be able to live this life as an American citizen in a much better state than what you are currently, if you don't know it. Okay, and then hopefully you'll come into the full knowledge of the truth. But that's your call. We'll pray for you until you do.
That's right. That's right, and we will definitely do that. I'm gonna let Dr. Mitchell have the last comments before we let you guys go for the evening.
Well, the communist model, y'all, so you just know the difference between communism and socialism. You must give up everything. That is, you need to want to use your family, and you need to denounce your relationship with God and country for the communist model. Now, socialism is a little bit different, but it's a tenet. And so I would invite you to really, really educate yourself and see how they're implementing it. And not all of these people know. Okay, they're not coming all straight out. The AOC, she's just different, y'all, in that regard. But I do want to let you know we can turn it around. We stay in the line, okay? Have faith. You ain't got time to be scared of white people. We ain't got time to be scared of Trump. I want you to have faith. Have faith. Stand on faith. Not fear. Okay, there's nothing to be afraid of. We ain't gonna win. Ain't nothing we gonna take from y'all. This is something we gonna enlighten you. And these brothers enlighten you out there. That's what we're doing. All right? Don't holler at you. We ain't finna let you put you down. We finna lift you up.
That's right.
I'm just letting you know. Be cool. We finna turn this around. All right? Join us and turn this around. And I thank y'all for listening to me. All right? And I thank you. And I appreciate this forum that Dr. Jackson done and what Eugene is telling y'all, because this is the truth. And we tell you this because we love you. Now, we ain't got time for all this foolishness right now. And we need to come and have a renewal of your thinking. The Bible talks about that. And I really appreciate it.
That's it. Appreciate you. Join us, guys, next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. right here on whatever social media platform you are on right now. Even if you're streaming on my website, join us right here at DetroitBJackson.com. We will be right here next Thursday night, 7 p.m. You guys hang around for a minute. I'm going to get rid of them. Keep them
I have to represent, man.